am joined by the filmmaker extraordinaire, director extraordinaire, Miss Jillian Bullock. And today, on a conversation with, we are going to be discussing her films, A Sense of Purpose, and anything else that she has coming up. So I guess the way I normally like to start these things is basically asking, how did you get into the business of filmmaking?
Okay. Well, I was in LaSalle University and I was taking communication degree. And part of that curriculum, you had to take film courses and screenwriting courses in order to
Hmm.
graduate. So that was my step into the business right there as far as
Okay.
learning all that. When I graduated from college, I got an internship on a set of Spike Lee's movie Malcolm X. So that was just, you didn't get paid. You
Hmm.
just did like the grunt work, you know, you go fetch stuff and do whatever they ask you to do, So like again, a foot in the door to learn about filmmaking, especially on that type of film with Denzel and everybody. So that was a very eye-opening experience working on that film. Like things I saw that I liked, some things I didn't like, But these are good things. Let me know what I wanted to do when I became a director.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, someone just said they can't hear, so I'm going to.
Ooh, that's not good.
That's interesting. I can hear it. Not...
But they have to hear it.
Hi, Sharon. So, can you hear it, Sharon? Miss Pearson, can you hear us now? If you can hear us now, please let us know because I'm actually. Oh gosh, let me turn this down because I'm getting some mad feedback.
Feedback. Static. Can she hear it?
I don't know because I could hear it myself, so I'm not sure why she can't hear. If you can hear, well, you know what? I love live, so I'm going to actually just type in, "Can everyone hear?" Hey, it's like that. That's what happens when you do live. So I just want to make sure that everyone can hear, because if they didn't hear what you said, I'll just actually have you tell everyone again how you got into the business, which was very interesting.
Okay. Okay. So when I was in college at LaSalle
Okay, well,
University,
great. Thank you,
did they
Brandon.
hear?
They can hear us. So,
Okay.
once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to the incomparable, phenomenal filmmaking director, Jillian Bullock. So, once again, Miss Bullock, how did you get started in the business?
Alrighty then. When I was in college at LaSalle University,
Hmm.
I took communications for my degree. Part of that curriculum, you had to do film and screenwriting courses.
Hmm.
So that was my first, I guess, foot in as far as learning how to become a director, how to become a producer. It doesn't matter. They would just, you had to take all these different film
Hmm.
courses. And screenwriting was, I guess, my love at first because I was actually working as a reporter for the Wall Street Journal at the time while I
Oh,
was in
wow.
college. So the writing part really came easy for me. But when I graduated, I got an internship on Malcolm X, and I was an intern, so we didn't get paid or anything. But your foot is in the door. You get to learn a lot of the ways of the film industry, especially a big budget like that, working around with top A list stars like Denzel. So that was an eye opening experience.
Wow. So, you get an internship on a Spike Lee joint.
Right.
So, did you have a lot of contact with him, or were you just basically relegated to, well, this is what you do, and at no time should you bother Mr. Lee?
Yeah, it was no time bother, Mr. Lee.
Okay. Okay.
No time bother, Mr. Washington either. You're intern, so you're basically a grunt. You just or they call you a gopher, and
Okay.
at the term in that when they call you a gopher, it basically means gopher means go for this,
Hmm.
go for that. That's a gopher. So you really don't. You're the lowest on the total pole. So and that's okay. You're getting your feet wet. You're getting experience, and that was fine. You have to learn somehow. So an internship on that movie was great in that sense.
So let me ask you. We're going to stay on Malcolm X for a second, because here you are now, a phenomenal director. I've seen some of your work. You started out as an intern
Right.
on the set of Malcolm X, which was actually a phenomenal film. So
Yeah.
while you were there, and this is basically for anyone who's listening right now who may be new to this, what was your mindset while being on set? You're not getting any money, so
Right.
basically you're working for free, but in essence you were being paid in education. So how did you approach that when you were on set? I mean, what did you take in? Were you actively watching what everyone else was doing? So how did
Yeah. I
that
mean,
work out?
yeah. You stay out the way. Once you do what you're supposed to do, you
Hmm.
stay out the way. Don't
Hmm.
get in anybody's way. And it was a difficult set. I mean, Spike Lee ran out of money and he had to go get more money. He was stressed by the studios.
Hmm.
They were coming down hard on him at the time, and he thought he might lose the film as far as the studio pulling it from him, and that would have been horrible. So he was very stressed. So you saw that. You saw the actors just doing their best that they could. Everybody worked really hard, but it was a stressful set. It really was.
Hmm.
To be on the first film, seeing that, I mean, I thought about quitting. I was like, I'm
Wow.
not doing this.
Hmm.
This is hard. This is rough.
Hmm.
And people just, it was very stressful. I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this, but I got over it.
Right.
I got over it. So moved on.
So did that experience help you in later years when you started actually writing and producing content on your own, seeing the nuts and bolts of how the industry really works? Because oftentimes what ends up happening, people are enamored with the glamour,
Hmm.
with the
Hmm.
red carpet, but they're
Yep.
not really understanding what actually goes on behind the scenes into the making of a film. So, with you having seen all of that
Right.
firsthand, did that help you when you finally started creating content and writing your own scripts and producing your own films?
Man, it helped in a way, but not really because I wasn't in charge like Spike was.
Okay.
I could just go home and just forget about it because it wasn't my film. Whereas he couldn't. It's
Hmm.
his film. But a lot of things I saw I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do as a director. I said if I was whenever I became a director, I said I wouldn't do that or I would do this. So I did carry some of that into my process. But it is stressful. It is people like you said. They just see the product when it's done, where all the stars are smiling and walking the red carpet, getting the pictures taken, and they see that they don't see all the hard work and the years. It could take years, and usually does, to get a film produced. Even no matter if you're an independent small budget film or a big budget film, it still
Hmm.
can take many years to get it done. So by the time people see it, all that hard work is finished. But all those years that it took to get that to that screen, it's a lot of work. I say it's a blood, sweat, and tears, because but you gotta love it. That's why you have to love this business. If you don't
Right.
love it, you're gonna quit because it is a lot of ups and downs. It's not stable work. A lot of times your family doesn't understand. They'll say, "Why don't you go get a real job?" They'll say that all the time, until you blow up, and then
Right.
they're like, "Oh, okay, oh yeah." But it's a lot of work. So people need to know that if they're going to get into this business.
Yeah, you get to, oh, see, I always knew that she had it in her.
Yeah, right.
You
And they
know, girl, I was telling somebody the other day when Jillian was doing that film, I was telling Jillian, I knew you were going to be somebody. Yeah, you do get that.
these are
But,
the same people that don't
hmm,
never watch my movies. They
right,
never supported, donated when they
hmm,
had fundraisers. The same folks,
right, right.
and I'll be like, uh-huh,
Yeah, but they want to be the first one on the carpet saying, can we get a picture?
right, right,
And you're like, wow, so now you want a picture, but when I was asking you for $5,
right, right.
you were nowhere to be found. But you know what?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and you have to think about that too, because a lot of times I've talked to other people who have made it. I've been at film festivals and I've met other people who have made it now, and they have said, people have said, "Oh, you changed now that you made it." No, they didn't change. They just knew who supported them.
Right.
Like Tyler Perry, he said all the time. He said, "Listen, when I was sleeping in my car and nobody was supporting me, not coming to my plays and everything, family, friends." He said when he made it, he's like, "Nah, I can't get down with you like that because you weren't there. I was sleeping in
Right.
my car."
Right.
So he remembered that you're not there, and we have to remember that because I'm not going to reward you once I blow up when you support me when I'm struggling and I'm out here eating, ramen noodles or stuff, so I could pay to get this next film done. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, and it's interesting because you do get that a lot, and it's interesting because when I first started, I said, well, I want to be this, and then I'll be successful. But after having done this for a number of years,
Mhm.
success is relative. So even when you're in your struggle and you start to advance and you start
Mhm.
to make progress every year, you definitely remember the people who were there at the beginning, who believed in you when, quote unquote, you didn't have anything at all.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you do remember those people. So I understand that you also do a lot of screenwriting and script consulting, which
Yes,
is
I do.
something that filmmakers really, really need. So could you touch on that a little bit? Because you really don't have a film without a good story. And can you just talk a little bit about what goes into the making of a good script, something with production value that if you were to actually get to a point where you could actually pitch it, a producer would actually want to green light it. So could you touch on that a
Okay.
little bit?
Well, a lot of times I find that people who come to me for script consulting, they haven't done their homework. I mean, to the point that their script is not even formatted correctly. I'm like, you don't have final draft? They be like, no. I'm like, so I really don't want to work with those people. I really, did you just look that face? Yeah. I really can't deal with those people because you know what? That's like wasting my time.
Hmm.
I could just take their money. But it's really it's a craft. Writing is a craft, and you have to study. You have to take courses in it. You have to read books on it. You have to read so many scripts, hundreds and hundreds of scripts, in order to hone your craft. People just think you just write something and it's done. Even Quentin Tarantino, who I think is one of the greatest screenwriters out there,
Hmm.
he even says he does rewrites at least 10 times on a script. I tell people that and they're like, 10 times?
Hmm.
Like, so I find that a lot of people don't understand what goes into a script, how to do character development, how to do a premise, how to do a plot structuring, how to do dialogue that pops, how to even do a act one, act two, act three,
Hmm.
how to have an enticing incident, how to have a character arc. It's so much that goes into screenwriting. And most people that come to me don't even have the foundation. And to me, I don't understand that. I'm like, if you were going to be a doctor, a lawyer, anything, you have to go to school. You have to go to school. You have to learn the craft. You can't just jump out there and try to perform surgery on somebody
Hmm.
without you learning your craft.
Hmm.
So screenwriting is the same way. It's you can't have a film without a great script or a good script. I mean, we know some scripts in Hollywood. We look at some films. We're like, how did that get greenlit? Who did that? But to be a really respected screenwriter, to win awards and have all those accolades, and to have screenplays of substance that you feel really proud of,
Hmm.
and you just have to do the work. People have to put the work in, the time on.
So when you do your when you do script consulting and you give notes, do you get a lot of pushback from the screenwriter who actually sent you their screenplay when you're giving them notes saying, well, hey, maybe this is a direction you want to go in, or you might want to flesh this character out a little bit more, or you might want to remove some of that dialogue because it's not
Mhm.
needed. Do you get a lot of pushback with that?
Some I do, some I don't. I
Hmm.
mean, I just did one gentleman, and he needed to do. I had to actually. I became a script doctor. I had to do a complete kind
Oh
of rewrite
wow.
on his. But he was cool with it. He was like, okay. He knew he had to pay more for that. That's a different skill set that I have for
Hmm.
that. But he was cool with it. He was happy with it. They did it once he got finished. They did a table read with script, and people loved it. But some people I do. That's why I don't do scripts consulting for friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what? I, I can only imagine
Nope,
what that's like.
nope. Nope. I've had it happen, and they get mad at me and don't talk to me for a while. Like, but I'm trying to help you.
And see that's the interesting thing, because you would want someone to tell you what would be needed in order to make it better.
Right. But
And
you know what? It's somebody's baby.
right.
They take it to heart and they get sensitive and they get all up in their feelings about it. And I'm like, I'm trying to help you. I really am trying to help you. I wouldn't. Why would I? If you're my friend, why would I do something that would hurt you? That doesn't
Right.
even make sense. I'm
Right.
trying to make it better because I want you to get it produced,
Right.
and I know what's going to get produced and what's not. I mean, I've been a screenwriting judge for the Greater Philadelphia Screenwriting, office. They have this every year. They have the Set in Philadelphia Screenwriting Contest. I've been a screenwriting judge for them since 2007,
Mm.
and they have 5 judges, 4 of them in Hollywood, and I'm Philadelphia. So I represent the Philadelphia part. But I've seen hundreds and hundreds of scripts, and we got to give these notes, and we got to pick who's the winner of the contest and all. So this is what I do, and I don't do it to hurt someone's feelings. It's constructive criticism. I'm just trying to help them become better and stronger as a writer.
Well, it's at the end of the day, what they they need to understand is that it's a business. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're in the business of filmmaking, and that's what I tell filmmakers, I always tell them, you know, do yourself a favor and try to get out of the mindset that you're a filmmaker. You're kind of sort of, but in reality, you're in the business of making films.
Right.
That is your business, and screenwriting is a very important part of that. So what you really need to do is, and it's hard, I understand that, because I've sent my scripts out and had them eviscerated. But once I got over my, well, who do you think you're talking to stage, and this
All
is
right.
this is great, and
Yep.
it's better than anything I've ever seen. But once you get over that and you really take a look at the notes, you say, okay, well, yeah, they were right. Yeah, they were right here too. And you go back in and you take advantage of what someone has given you as far as those are concerned. Like you
Right.
said, it's there to make your product better,
Better.
which in
Mm-hmm.
turn, lets you win, because if you have a better product, it has a better chance of getting
Or getting
made.
picked up, or even somebody options it or buys it or whatever, and then it gets produced. So you want to go out strong, especially if you're going to enter into the film festivals and stuff like that,
Hmm.
screenwriting contests. You definitely they have thousands and thousands of screenplays that come through their door. So you have to be to shine. You have to you have to know your stuff, and that comes again. Like I said, it's learning the craft, is doing the work, put the work in, write many scripts, of course, get final draft or some movie magic or something that helps you format the script properly. And you have to read. You have to read hundreds, like I said, hundreds and hundreds of scripts, because you have to see what are great scripts and what
Right.
what they look like. And then of course you have to watch hundreds and hundreds of movies. You
Hmm.
have to study that. So I always tell people that I'm students or something. I tell them, you read the script, you watch the movie, then you go back and read the script. The reason why you do that is because a lot of times they take out things by the time they film it. They take
Yes.
things, and you want to see what they took out. And okay, why did you think they did that? Does it make it flow better? Does it make it more exciting? Does it make it more impactful? So you wanna do that. People say, oh, that's a lot of work. As soon as they say that to me, I'm like, okay, I can't work with you. I can't work with you.
Okay, okay. I'm going to take some aspirin. See that I don't understand that. I don't understand that because again, if this you approach it one of two ways. You approach it as a business or you approach it as a hobby. So if you're
Okay.
approaching it as a hobby, then no, fine. You know what? Do whatever floats your boat
Right.
because you just like making films and it's just for hey, I did it and that's fine. But if you are looking to take it anywhere and not necessarily Hollywood, if you're just looking to
Right.
get it
Right.
produced because contrary to what people believe, there are other things that are outside of Hollywood. You have very prolific and successful filmmakers who never stepped foot in Hollywood. So if
Right.
you're looking to get your work produced, the best
Hmm.
thing to do would be to invest in yourself. So you're supposed to have final draft. You're supposed to have Celtics. They have so many different
Yeah, you got different ones. Hmm.
screenwriting, software that you could use that it's unbelievable. And then as far as reading scripts, you can get those for free.
Online.
You could get it
Yep.
for free. You could go on
It don't cost
YouTube.
you a dime.
Yeah,
Don't cost you a dime.
doesn't cost you any money. So, you know,
The same thing with like the workshops. They could get
mhm,
free workshops online going to screenwriting 101 or something like that.
yes.
Or they could take courses that I do. I mean, I make sure it's not expensive so that people can afford it,
Hmm.
'Cause I want to help people.
Right.
I do want to help people. So they can do a mixture and they can get books. You get some books, you study that, mark it up with your highlighter to say, okay, I need to remember this and how to
Yes.
do this. And that's what you do. But you have to take the time to put the work in. If not, you know, make it a hobby, like you said. Don't try to make a career out of it because you're going to keep getting no's from the industry and you're going to get frustrated.
Yeah, and depending on where you're going, as they say, you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Mm-hmm.
And as you move up that food chain, and when you're dealing with someone else's money,
Mm-hmm.
okay, people need to understand that when you're dealing with someone, it makes no sense that you would not do everything that you could to put the best product forward. Because then what you do is you turn around and you ask someone to believe in your mediocre or so-so project. And
Right.
then you get upset when they tell you no. But you're getting upset because someone told you no for work you that you would not put in. And that
Right.
makes no sense. If
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
looking for someone to actually invest in you, how much have you invested in yourself?
Exactly.
Is the
Yeah.
question. So if you're not willing to invest in yourself, why are you upset that someone else won't invest in you? Because they look at
Exactly.
they look at your work and they say, "Well, good grief! Well, who wrote this?
Right.
Or who shot
And
that?"
it's really insulting when you somebody sends me a script, wants me to be a script consultant, and it's not even formatted correctly. That's
Yes.
like basic. It's not even formatted correctly. That means you don't care.
Hmm.
And if you don't care, why should I care?
Right.
Basically. But then again, it's easy, like I said, to go online and get that information for free on YouTube, and you don't have to pay anything. You just go online and you look up the videos, and they tell you what type of software to get. They tell you the basics. They tell you how to do Act One, Act Two, Act Three. They tell you all this. And you can also, like I said, you do screenwriting courses with me because you want that feedback from an instructor.
Right.
If you don't have the money to go to a university to do screenwriting courses, you take courses like mine or other ones or other people like that. But then you can get that one-on-one, better one-on-one because I'm here, you're there. You do it now online, and I can answer questions
Hmm.
while we go through things. So that's a help to a lot of screenwriters.
Okay. So we're gonna kind of move off of screenwriting as one part of the filmmaking process. So let us talk about your latest endeavor, A Sense of
Okay.
Purpose, which
Right.
was a very good film and it was a very interesting film. And I'm not going to give it away because I want people to. Matter of fact, can you please give us the title, the
Well, it's
correct
okay.
title
It's
of the
called
film?
It's called A Sense of Purpose: Fighting for Our Lives. And it tells the story of military veterans, basically military veterans, PTSD, and military sexual assault. In the film, the actress Tamara Woods plays Sergeant Diane Torres. She's been sexually assaulted. Well, she's been raped by her commanding officer, who is played by John Quinlan. In the movie, he's Captain Nixon. So not only does she come home from Afghanistan with mental issues, PTSD, depression from being raped, she has a bigger problem because she finds out she's pregnant. And that's a whole big different problem to have. What do you do? She's a Christian woman, and she's fighting with that. Do I keep the baby? Do I abort the baby? So that's very stressful on top of the rape situation.
Hmm. And what I found very interesting, like I said, I'm not going to give a lot of it away because the film right now, ladies and gentlemen, please support this film. It is on Amazon Prime. Support the film because the more people that go and watch it, the algorithm gets better and Miss Bullock
Yep.
gets paid more money. So
That's what it comes down to.
you definitely want to go and support the film. So if you have cable and you have Amazon Prime, you must go watch A Sense of Purpose: Fighting for Our Lives. Plus, if you're from Philly, you get to see some Philly actors. What's better than that? You're supporting, your fellow thespians and actors and things like that. But back to the film,
Right.
what I found interesting was John's character
Okay.
because initially when I saw him commit the rapes, I was like, yo, this dude is just a bad dude.
Hmm.
But as you got further into the film and you kind of saw what was actually going on with him and the issues and the demons that he had to deal with, you did not excuse what he did, but you had a better understanding of
Hmm.
why he did what he did and became the type of person that he was that would actually commit rape on a woman. Because by the
Hmm.
end of the film, my takeaway was he was more damaged than the person he was inflicting damage on. And
Yeah.
and that's really something. And see, this is why people have to go watch it, because I'm being cryptic for a reason, because I'm not going to give you the plot. You need to go and watch it. But it really points out that there are a lot of broken people out here. And
Hmm.
you have broken people that are in positions of power, and they need help just as much as the victims, which is saying
Because in a sense,
something.
because in a sense, they're victims as well.
Right.
And this is the reason why I wrote it that way. I normally in movies like this, they just stay with the victim, which is the female normally, like you said, but they never normally they don't follow the other side, the perpetrator. What was his life like? What happened? What happened to him? His defining moment
Hmm.
that made that switch. Because it could happen to anyone. If they look at the movie, they will understand. So I wanted to do both sides justice, like you said, not give him an out,
Right.
but people will get to understand what happens in the military. It happens far too often. It's an epidemic. You consider that the military is the largest employer in the world. If you think our military people all over the world,
Hmm.
and the fact is, in the military, more men are raped than women
Wow.
because there's more men in the military.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
know
that's a
that.
even yeah that's a hard that's even harder for men because they're men. They're like, oh, you shouldn't get raped. Or why am I? You're not a man because you got raped. You allowed yourself to get raped.
Hmm.
So that part was brought out in the movie as well. So I just try to make it very balanced so people can make up their own mind by the time they get to the end and what happens at the end. We're not gonna give that away to
Hmm.
both characters.
Hmm.
I wanted to make sure that people saw it from both sides.
So how long did it actually, from the beginning into the end, how long was the process?
5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. See, See,
Yeah.
see,
From the concept you're saying
yes.
to end, like 5 years. Yeah.
So basically, this is a long game. So if you're
It
getting
is.
into it to, I'm going to be walking the red carpet at the Grammys next year, and I just got into it. Think again, folks. It
Think
took
again.
5 years to make this
Right.
film.
Yeah. A lot of different things happened. Like when I first started the script, I had seen a TV show about this guy in San Diego who has an MMA studio, mixed martial arts studio,
Mm-hmm.
and he found that the veterans responded to mixed martial arts. It helped them with their PTSD and depression. So all those people that are in his school are veterans, men and women are veterans. I said, wow, that's a cool concept
Mm-hmm.
because I trained in mixed martial arts. So I said, oh, that'd be a cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got into interviewing some veterans, I interviewed like 100 veterans. So that took time. It takes time for you to interview everyone. But what I found out that most of them that had PTSD had it because they had been sexually assaulted.
Wow.
So I said, oh, that's an even better story. So I had to stop, rewrite the script. And that's why it took some time. And I rewrote the script to the script it is now.
Okay. So as far as funding, how did you go about securing funding for the film?
Well, a lot of it came from me and my producing partner, Delane Poe. She's a producer. She's been with me, like you said, from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to go to Hollywood with me. So
Right.
she's from the beginning. Credit cards, you know that. But then we
Yes.
had Joe. Yeah, credit cards. But then we had Joe Hunter came on board. He came on as an executive producer. This guy, man, he was a lifesaver. He set up 5 different fundraising events.
Wow.
And he knew so many people, and in between our people, my family, and his people, his big group that he knew, and my other producer Lamont Fountain, who was also the DP on a movie, we all came together. Joe, he put up some money. Lamont, he worked for free a lot of times on deferment. Sometimes we could pay him, sometimes we couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, in a sense, is money because he's not getting paid right there. Like sometimes we could pay him, sometimes we couldn't pay him, but he still was cool with them. And through all that effort, we were able to got a couple of investors involved, and through all that, we were able to finish the film, get it done.
So basically, it took a lot of people who actually believed in what you were doing, and
Mm-hmm.
it took some mad collaboration.
Oh yeah.
But it also sounds like people were willing to make sacrifices for this thing to come about because DPs don't work for free.
Normally no.
DPs do not work, and I've seen Mr. Fountain's work.
Right.
So, the fact that this gentleman said, "Okay, well, I'll shoot it for you. Don't worry about it right now. We'll work that out later." That's phenomenal. And see, let me point something out to everyone that's tuning in right now. That doesn't happen with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order for things like that to happen, where people come on board your projects, you have to be the type of person that people will want to do that for. And that's where the relationship building comes in. That's where the integrity comes in. Because, as I said, filmmaking is a very expensive and very involved business. And
Yep. Sure is.
people don't part with their money. They just don't. I can tell you, I've been in this for a very long time, and the people that have known me, especially since we started doing the show, it's very difficult to raise money. So when people decide to come on board and want to help you, it speaks a lot to the person that they're willing to throw their hat in the ring with. And
Well,
that's
it's another reason why he can't. Another reason why he came on as a producer too. Me, Joe Hunter, Lamont, and Delane Poe. We knew we don't get paid up front. We paid other people though. We made sure our crew was paid, and we made sure our actors were paid, and we made sure we fed them well. So that's what we were more concerned about. We said we'll get ours in the end, but we wanted to make sure they were filmed, and of course we put money toward the equipment that Lamont needed. That was very important. So we have a certain look that he wanted. So The four of us didn't get paid, but we paid others. We made sure we paid other people
Can you
because
just repeat that again? What did you do? You did what?
we paid the crew and the cast and
Oh,
fed them well.
okay.
You gotta feed them well
You
because they
got to
out there
feed
for
them.
long hours.
Yes, yes, yes. So
Feed them.
when people look at this down the road, I want you to stop, rewind this portion of the podcast, and listen to what she said. Folks, pay your people,
Yeah, pay them.
and if you can't pay them, feed them.
Feed them.
Feed them.
If you definitely can't pay, you feed them. You feed them, and you feed them well. You do not just give them a little bit of sandwiches and a little water. You feed them well
Mm-hmm.
because they have to work 10, 12 hours shifts. And if they are working on deferment, the actors and all, if they're working on deferment, at least their bellies full, happy, and they got the energy to go out and do the next scenes that they need to do. But my thing is, I told the producers up front, we don't get paid up front. We'll get paid in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
I said we have to pay the crew and we have to pay our cast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did.
And see, that goes a long way because word of mouth is one of the most powerful advertisements out there, if not the most powerful. And when you take care of your people, that gets around. So the next time Jillian Bullock wants to, and we're going to talk about that in a second, the next time Jillian Bullock wants to produce a film, all she has to do is put it out there, and the actors that have worked on this project and the music video, they're going to be like, yo, that's a project you definitely want to try to get casted for because she takes care of her people. I cannot stress that enough, that you
Right.
must take care of your people, because when you take care of your people won't mind staying on your set for 15 hours.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, that's why you got to feed them.
Got to feed them. You got to feed
You
them.
know, I mean, you got to feed. I mean, depends on when we were shooting. Sometimes I definitely made sure they got paid. They got fed at least twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
You get a breakfast and a lunch, or you get a lunch and a dinner, depending on when we were filming. But you got fed twice a day.
Okay.
I want them to have the energy. I want them to walk away saying, I want them walking away saying, I'm starving. We're out there working
You have them
hours.
you have them leaving your set going to make a Mickey D's run or going to
Right.
get a Popeye spicy chicken sandwich. You're like, man,
Right.
she couldn't even surprise with a Popeye spicy chicken sandwich. What
Right.
kind of crap
No.
is that? And trust me,
Nope.
people, because look, I've been on some sets
Oh,
where you're standing around and you're saying to yourself, okay, where are the craft services? I know I'm not on a professional commercial television set or professional movie set, but I mean, can a brother get a bottle of water? You know, you can go to the dollar store and get some bottled water. You know, so that
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
craft,
we made that all the time. At least had water on the set all the
right.
time. But then I was very mindful of how many hours we worked, and at a certain time, Delane would make sure that we cut at a certain time. She would look at the clock and say, "Okay, we've been here for 4 or 5 hours. Stop. We're gonna let's go get some food." You just have to take care of people. I can't stress that enough.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about because you also did a music video, which was actually nominated
Yes, and one.
and won at the formerly Philadelphia Independent Film Awards, now the IFAP Awards, but her video won. So talk about what was the idea behind wanting to make a music video from the film?
Well, it was. I wanted to do like a PSA because I remember years ago when Lady Gaga did one about rape in colleges, and she did this big thing, and she sang it on the Oscars. I don't have that platform yet to be jumping out to be able to do that on the Oscars.
You're working your way towards it.
I'm working it. But that moved me when I saw that because I know she had been raped, and I said, well, I said, okay, sexually assaulted or raped in college, sexually assaulted or raped in the military. So I said, well, let's pull from some scenes from the movie. And also we shot some additional scenes with John Quillen and Christopher Mann, who everybody knows Chris. And he came in and did the video, the music video with us. And it turned out excellent. We were nominated for a lot of awards with that one as well and won. So, it was important to me to have people, maybe they may not have seen the movie yet, and we didn't know when that was going to come out. So we said, okay, at least they could see this and get a sense of what the movie's about.
Okay. So you've been getting a lot of positive feedback
Hmm.
from the film. Can you
Yeah.
talk about that?
Well, yeah, I've been getting a lot of good feedback from veteran organizations, which is a little scary because you don't know how they're going to respond to a movie like this,
Hmm.
But they've been very, supportive, and so many people have come out and shared with me the fact that they had been sexually assaulted or raped when they were in the military, and they said they've never told anybody.
Mm.
So we actually went around to a lot of different veterans organizations and showed like 30 minutes of the film, not the whole piece because we couldn't at that time because we don't want anybody to take the film and put it out before it's supposed to be put out.
Right.
So we showed like 30 minutes of it, and even with that, people were just so moved, and some people were crying. I mean, it was a very emotional thing. Everywhere we went, we shown this film. It was very emotional for people. But yeah, a lot of support from mental health organizations because PTSD and depression. Uh, Military veterans, actually 22 a day commit suicide,
Wow.
which is horrible. Whether they were sexually assaulted or not, 22 veterans commit suicide each day. Um, so that's crazy. So they're not getting the mental health help that they need. So a lot of we let it show to some mental health organizations. They loved it as well. Someone right now contacted me. They want me to show the movie at the Veterans Administration. That's
Hmm.
huge. I never thought I would get that
Wow.
because it's the Veterans Administration. They kind of shy away from sexual assault and rape, and they don't want to talk about it really or anything like that. But yeah, they want me to show it there, so I'm going
Wow.
to work that out. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Yeah, my friend, who I hadn't heard from in 36 years, we were in boot camp together, and he contacted me a couple of weeks ago. Turns out he's a captain in the Navy now,
Mm.
and that blew my mind. I'm like, wow. But he did, and that's a horrible statistic that 22 military personnel a day commit suicide, and he
Yep.
actually did the push-up challenge for
Okay.
that. But that really needs to be highlighted, and it's kind of interesting because you see politicians on television talking about, oh, they're heroes, they're heroes, they're heroes, but yet when it's time to put some funding behind
Hmm.
our veterans to get them proper medical care, proper treatment for possible drug abuse, just somewhere to live, then everybody goes
Yeah.
silent. Oh, we don't have any money. But wait a minute, 5 minutes ago you said they were your heroes, and
Right.
these
Right.
people, they serve their country, and it's sad that oftentimes when they get out, they're just completely overlooked. So your
Right.
film actually serves a number of purposes. It's interesting, a sense of purpose, and it serves a number of purposes because it brings to light, as you said, the mental issues that a lot of our service members go through, the sexual abuse that a lot of these service members go through that they don't speak on. And
Right.
then your piece comes along and they're looking at the screen and they're saying to themselves, that's me.
Yep. Yep.
So what is the feeling that you get from knowing that something that you created is actually helping so many people?
It's a good feeling when, like, I only want to write scripts and produce projects that are empowering, uplifting, gets conversations started. So you probably will never see me doing a romantic comedy. Nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm not that type of filmmaker.
Right.
Every filmmaker has their own genre. Because this is the only way I know how to affect change in the world is to put out certain type of films to focus on people who are marginalized, people who are overlooked, people who society kicks to the curb. And it's important to me to do that. If I have a voice, this is my way to do that. I'm a writer, I'm a producer, I'm a director, I'm a creative. So I can do this and put it out there to the world, whether it's through TV show. And I hope that it affects people and helps change their life or make their lives better. Or if they need help, like anybody see this movie and they know that they're dealing with something that like that happened to them, that they can get the therapy and get the help that they need to have a better life, a more productive life.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And that's the great thing about being a filmmaker, because you know you can use your platform for positive change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. There's nothing wrong with the romantic comedy. We all like to laugh and like, oh, hey, that's great, falling in love and things like that. But you also need content which draws attention to certain things, because sometimes that's the only way that those things will change and be made to be made better, is by bringing it to people's awareness. Because
Right.
oftentimes, because I was unaware that sexual assault was so prevalent
Oh yeah,
in the
it's an epidemic.
military.
It's an epidemic. It's crazy.
And it's probably much worse now, because when I was in the service, I'm not even going to date myself, but when I was in the service, there were no co-ed ships.
Mm.
You didn't have anything like that. So
It
years
does.
later,
It doesn't matter. But listen, men
yeah,
get raped than
right,
women, so it could
wow,
be an all male ship.
wow,
There was rape going on. Trust me, there
wow.
was rape going on that ship. All male. There was rape going on. Trust
That's
me.
that's that is unbelievable. But yeah, it's a phenomenal film. And once again, folks, if you have Prime Video on Amazon, or you know what, I'll let you tell it, because
Well,
I'm
even,
sure
even,
it's
even
places.
if
It's
they don't
places.
have Prime and they
Mhm.
can rent it, it's only $2.99.
$2.99, folks. You pay more than that for a Starbucks. I don't go to Starbucks. You
Latte.
you pay more than that for Starbucks coffee,
Right.
or that Chick-fil-A
Right.
spicy chicken sandwich. So
So even if they don't have Prime, they could just rent it for $2.99. It's not much.
yeah,
I
and
kept the price low.
and, and it's all about us supporting us, because we oftentimes speak about the lack of support and why aren't they. It's
Mhm.
always the why aren't they, when in reality it should be why aren't we. Because if we are looking to get to a certain point, it starts with us. In order for them to say, okay, well, this person is whatever, they need to see that people have the numbers. Sorry, folks, it's a business, it's a numbers game.
It
So if,
is.
if we're not supporting each other, once again, they're not going to say, well, I'm not going to put any money behind them, because they don't. Yeah, when your own people won't support your stuff, you cannot expect someone from the outside to support your stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
It's so true.
it is what it is. But I'm gonna jump off my soapbox. I got up on my preacher name. I'm coming out the pulpit. So your film had garnered some interest from some folk on the other side of the country, which is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yes.
And we talked about that previously. So could you share as much as you can
Hmm.
with our listening audience?
Well, because of my film, A Sense of Purpose Fighting for Our Lives, I got contacted by two Hollywood producers who were doing their own military movie called 22. And they were looking for, surprisingly, a female director, which I was very surprised about. And then they were like, okay, they looked at my stuff. There you go. They're going to look you up. They're definitely going to look you up on all social media, IMDb, your any clips or reels that you have, anything like that. They're going to look you up. Any news articles on you, they check everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is Hollywood. This is Hollywood. So they came at me, and at first I thought it was someone's playing a joke because I said they were talking about it was like a $5.5 million film. I was like, okay, who's trying to punk me? Stop playing. But then talked to them on Zoom. The two producers, a male and a female, Stephen and Rylan.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they broke it down. I read the script. It's
Wow.
an amazing script. Here you go, that script. Because to be honest, if it was a $5.5 million film and the script was crap, I wouldn't have done it. Of course, I want to move to that next level, but I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
It's a very well written script. I did give them some notes. Steven is one of the co-writers. He's in the military himself. Him and the other co-writer, both of the guys that wrote it, both in the military. So they did. I did give some notes, and they were open to it. They were like, "Okay, yeah, sure," and they went and made the changes. So we're looking at going into pre-production like January. So it'll be out in California that we'll be filming. So I won't be in Philly. My first step out of Philadelphia to
Oh,
shoot
wow.
a major film. They're getting some A-list stars to be in the lead roles, and I had a hand in some suggestions that again they were open to,
Hmm.
which I was like, that's so cool. So a female, a woman of color, they they didn't have a problem with it, and they were like, yeah, they've been pretty cool. So we're working it out. I'm excited about it.
See, that's great. So basically, by putting in the work, we're back to that
Mm-hmm.
again, folks. Putting in the
Oh yeah.
work. When you
Yep.
put in the work,
Mm-hmm.
things happen. And they may not happen right away, but they do happen
Mm-hmm.
because you put in the work. And when you put in good work and you make good product, people tend to notice that. And that's basically
Yep.
what happened with this. So,
Yeah. Well, and another thing, I didn't tell you this. Another producer, not these two, a different producer in Hollywood contacted me, saw the movie on Amazon,
mm,
contacted me about that and wants to do a sequel.
wow.
So I don't even have a concept for, I mean, I have a concept for what I want to do,
Hmm.
but of course I haven't really written anything yet. But I was like, okay, this is like crazy now. So, and in between that, I have my own movie, A Cup Full of Crazy, I have to do in May that
That's
I'm
right.
shooting, that I
We
wrote and
did talk
directed.
about a cup full
Yeah,
of crazy.
talk about Cup Full of
Cup
Crazy.
full of
That's my
crazy.
baby.
With Jacinth Headlam, who is awesome. Love me some Jacinth.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
wow! So yeah, tell us. Oh, I see that movie
yeah.
totally. I'm so glad you brought that up because it totally slipped my
Of course,
mind.
I'm gonna bring it up.
What is going
Well,
on with a cup full of
yeah.
crazy?
After I do 22, I go right into A Cup Full of Crazy, which is a psychological thriller.
Oh,
Like you said, just think that she's going to be the lead actress, and it deals with her. Her character is a award-winning screenwriter and a former mixed martial arts fighter.
hmm,
Hey, that's right. You got to write what you know. That's what people. Let me tell you that you write what you know. So
that's
the
right.
mixed martial arts, the screenwriting. But she had a nervous breakdown. Her character had a nervous breakdown a year ago. Now she's trying to get her life back on track.
Hmm,
Something happened in her life. She had a nervous breakdown. She's seeing a therapist and everything. She's writing a script about a Philadelphia serial killer. And as she's writing the script, the things that are happening in her script starts happening in real life.
oh wow.
Yeah. So her best friend and her doctor don't know if she's like imagining this because she's had a nervous breakdown. She's on some medication.
Right.
So they don't know if that's the case or if it's really true. What she's saying, but they don't know, and nobody will know in this when you watch it. You have to. It's not one of them movies that you can get up and go to the bathroom.
Hmm,
It's a lot if you do that. So it's going to be very on the edge of your seat, very enticing, very riveting, I should say.
okay.
Very riveting. Yeah. So it's going to be one of those type of movies.
So I noticed. So question: Did you change lead actresses?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, I did. And for different reasons.
Okay.
Won't get into that.
Okay.
But Jacinth she's fantastic. The leading male. We got some good people in here. And it has a big element of fitness in it, mixed martial arts and boxing.
Hmm.
So we actually have some well-known UFC fighters that are going to be in it. Well-known boxers that are going to be in it. Well-known fitness people that are going to be in it. And that's a good way to get interest for more money because
Hmm.
they see those type of people in it, and then they're like, your investors are more likely to give you more money because they know it's going to be successful because these people have great millions and millions of followers, and it's just going to add a different element to the part of the thriller, but this is going to be more entertaining as well because you have that part with the MMA and the boxing.
Wow, that I can't wait to see that. Now I want to ask. So, how did you go about selecting Jacinth? Did she have to actually audition for the role, or was that just basically a phone call?
Well, what happened was Antoine Allen did a movie with her called Lola, which has been all over the social media right now. It just came out.
Good
She was in
brother.
that movie. Yeah, he's a good brother. He is. She was in his movie, and he suggested her to me, and he sent me her information, and then I went online again and saw her reel.
Hmm.
Have a reel.
Please.
Uh-huh.
It
Yeah.
helps.
Have a reel. After
Professionally
I saw
done.
the yeah, get that reel done. If you're an actor, get that reel done. So after I saw the reel, loved it. I gave her a call. We talked. Then we met up. So I wanted to see her in person. At
Mhm.
that time, COVID wasn't happening, so I could see her in person. She's fantastic, amazing, wonderful. We went through, read through some of the parts of the script. I said, she's perfect. She's going to be great in this role. And we've been talking because there's been changes in the script and stuff like that and
Mhm.
all. And it's a very physical role, and I need to know if she could do that role because she's, like I said, she's a former MMA fighter, but she still trains even though she doesn't fight anymore. And she said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to put the time in to get in the best shape of her life so she can look good on screen.
Well, you definitely got a good one there. She's been in. Oh gosh, she did Compromised with me about 7 years ago,
Hmm.
and she's done a lot of really good work, and
Yeah.
she's just a phenomenal person.
Hmm.
I love Jacinth. She's such a nice young lady. So that's a great addition. So that definitely brings some punch to you.
Oh
So
yeah.
I am so looking forward to seeing that film. So besides a cup full of crazy, 22, and all this other stuff, what
Yeah.
what what? So what's going on for next year besides those projects?
I'm going to be doing a boxing movie, just specifically boxing,
Hmm.
and it deals with a heavyweight boxer who John Quinlan's going to be playing that role. And what happens is something he gets brutally beat up in
Mm.
the ring, and because of that, he ends up blind. Yeah. So it's his journey to try to come back and change his ways because he wasn't. This character is not the nicest character. You had to have that character arc, but he's blind. What happens when you're the best of the best
Right.
and your sight is taken from you? And what happens to your character and your mindset? What happens to you? And how do you make changes that'll change the way you've been acting your whole life? It's always about, to me, it's always about development of a
Hmm.
person, how you change and how you grow and how you become better. So it's going to be a lot of work for him because he'll have to train in boxing for, like Michael B. Jordan did in Creed and
Hmm.
everything. And he'll have to train and go to a blind school.
Mm.
Yeah, because he has to learn how to move like a blind person.
Right.
So there's a place here in Philadelphia called Overbrook School of the Blind.
Yes, very
So
familiar with that.
right, so he'll go there. That'll be part of his training that he'll have to put the time in, some months in, to learn how to do how blind people do, how they act like they read in braille, and
Hmm.
how he has to move. And it's going to be very, challenging for him. But he's a great actor, so he can do it.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. So your plate is full.
It's full, yeah. Plus, I'll be doing speaking engagements, booking for speaking engagements next year as well, as we go back out into the world and do some more speaking engagements. It was closed down for this year, but I'll be back out there next year. Between speaking engagements, traveling there, and doing the movies and everything else, just no sleep.
Hey, the life of a busy filmmaker. That's how it is.
Yeah,
But one thing that we definitely have to do that we always talk about that we never seem to get around to doing is once the IFAP Awards is back in a physical building,
right.
Jillian and myself, and I've said this, Jillian Bullock. Now, I don't want anybody to get offended if you plan on attending the show. Jillian will be the second person because I got to take a picture with my wife first. Jillian will be the second person that I take a picture with because we have never taken a picture
Never,
together at the
never,
show.
never, ever. I don't even understand how that happens.
I
I
don't
see you.
know. But I
I don't.
mean, you see me, I'm running here, I'm running there. But I said, I don't care what I'm doing. I said, I am going to stop everything that I'm doing and I'm getting a picture on the red carpet with Miss Jillian Bullock.
I
And
say he gonna grab me before I go to Hollywood. He gonna grab.
absolutely, because see, you know what? You're going to have that proof because when you're standing up there with that gold statue, and you telling people, well, yeah, I know her. They be like, yeah, Floyd, you always talk about who you know, and I'm be like, yo, I'm telling you, we were see this. Then they go like, and then you know they're going to say, oh, that was Photoshop. You don't know for real. So, but I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, Photoshop, Smotoshop, I don't care. But this was
Yeah.
phenomenal, and I want
Okay.
you to please tell everyone where they can find you, where they can follow
Yeah.
you, and where
Mhm.
they can find your films on
Okay.
the
Well,
different
let's start with
platforms.
jbullockenterprises.com. They can go there. That's the movie website. That's my film website. It has everything what I'm working on there. Anything I've done is on there. J Bullock Enterprises, and that's all my social medias on there, so they can just click on that. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever they want to click on, they'll find me. And of course, the movie A Sense of Purpose, Fighting for Our Lives is on Amazon. Come on, y'all, support the sister so I can say, hey, Philly did me great before I head to Hollywood.
That's phenomenal. And before we go, what would be one piece of advice that you would give someone looking to make a film or actually write a screenplay? What would be the one piece of advice that you would give?
Well, I already gave the advice for the screenwriting. For filmmaking, but it's the same thing. You got to study your craft. If you can get on sets, start off as an intern, production assistant, move your way up. First of all, you got to know what you want to do. If you want to be a director, if you want to be a producer, if you just want to be a crew member or DP or whatever you want to be, you have to know that first. And then you have to go and try to get a mentor. It's always good to get a mentor. I think that's very important to get a mentor who's in the business, who can help pull you along. But again, a mentor is going to ask a lot of you. So don't think that you can just ask someone to be a mentor and they're just going to give you a free ride. They're going to expect a lot out of you, and they're going to expect you to put the work in. So try to get on the set, try to get a mentor, follow people online that you love, who you want to be like. Follow them on social media. Then reach out to them after you get to know them a little bit. Don't just go straight in cold trying to get to know them. They
Right.
don't like that.
Hey, we just met.
They
Can
don't
you
like
write?
that.
Can you read my script?
Yeah,
What?
can you produce this? People like I don't know how many people have been seeing me this month. I've done 5 interviews. I've never did 5 interviews in one month.
Mm,
So I did 5 interviews this month about the movie and everything else I'm working on. And I guess people have been seeing it because people have been coming at me, emailing me, talking about, can you produce my script? I'm like, I don't
mm,
know you. I don't know you. And even when the people came to me for 22, I didn't automatically jump at that.
mm-hmm.
I went and saw who they were.
Right.
I went on their IMDb page. I went on their website. I went and checked them out as well because I wanted to know they weren't shady.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that they were professional as well, and they were, so I could go with them. But you can't just try to send product to somebody or the script to somebody. You don't take the time to even try to get to know them a little bit on social media and try to build a foundation with that person first. That's important.
That's very important, and it's also the professional way to do it.
Exactly.
Always be professional.
Yes.
Jillian, this
Floyd.
was amazing. This was awesome. I am so glad that we had an opportunity to sit down and have a conversation. And I hope that everyone who tuned in learned something today. I most certainly did. And that's the awesome thing about actually doing this. I guess you can call it a podcast. That's the great thing about doing this podcast. You get to learn something new every day. So, once again, I would like to thank you, Jillian, for spending an hour of your Saturday with
Yeah.
me. It is greatly appreciated. And save me the
Thanks for
spot on the
having me
red
on the
carpet.
show.
Oh, girl, please.
Nope.
You're gonna have to come back after you do see, and you're definitely gonna have to come back after you do a cup full of crazy because we're gonna have to talk about that. We are
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
definitely have to talk about that because I got some questions about a cup full of. I want to know how you came up with the title. It's so much. It's so much I want to know, but it's only an hour show,
Right.
so
Right.
we can. I can ask you that in the next hour. How did you come up with the title for that show? But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Be blessed. Be safe. Peace out, everyone.